this moment is obviously very significant for all of us in terms of what we're dealing with in LA. And I want to take a step back, and before we talk about what we're dealing with to do the LA rebuild, talk about the notion that's incredibly important with regards to help. The power of help, and what it means to both ask for help and provide help. So maybe, Tim, I'd like to hear your perspective on this.
Sure. Well, I think fundamentally help is an intrinsic part of what makes us human. We are a social species, and in a way, everything that we do together, and we help each other. The interesting part of help is there's a sort of a dichotomy, which is it's actually really hard to ask for help. Hands up if you like asking for help. Not a lot, right? It's really challenging. Most of us don't like it, but when you ask for help, you unlock something incredibly powerful. How many people here like helping, like giving, right? All the hands go up. So that act of asking for help, that brave move, unlocks a tremendous amount of goodness and allows us to move through life together. So I think help is an incredibly important part of what we do individually and as a society.
Paris.
For me, with the power of help for myself, I love that I'm able to really shine a light on causes and things that are important to me and make the whole world know about it. And in tune, asking for help in a way where people can also help and know that it's going to make a difference. And I've just seen that so much through my advocacy work and through different, like my documentary, just things that I've done where I've been able to ask for help and then also be able to make change and really change laws. And we just passed my bill in December to protect children. And it's really amazing, the power of also using your voice and turning pain into a purpose.
Yeah. And all of that work has been recognized. Most recently, just got, if I'm not mistaken, CNBC named you one of the top 50 women change makers right now today. And that power that you're providing, help to the world, is greatly just creating benefit to others. And so before I ask you the immediate way in which you responded to what happened with these wildfires here, I'd like to first talk about your personal experiences, because before you were able to help others, obviously there was a personal impact that you both had with regards to what happened. So maybe Paris, first, let's hear from you in terms of like your experience when things began that early day in January.
Well, my husband and I was the morning after the fires, and I found out about our home because we were just having breakfast, feeding the kids, and my husband looked at the TV on the news and was like, oh my God, is that our blue door? And then I looked, and just in the background of her interview, there was just our house just completely burned and just disintegrated into nothing. So that was how we found out. And it was just so heartbreaking. And I just knew right away that I wanted to help make a difference for others, because I can't even imagine. I was just thinking about all of the families and all of the mothers with children and all their pets, and that they had nowhere to sleep that night. So I knew that I wanted to do something right away to help.
Tim, let's hear from you.
Well, first, I just want to say the fact that you went through that and almost immediately moved to what can I do for other people is incredible. Like, it's very rare. So I just want to applaud that.
Thank you.
It's incredible. I live in Altadena. I live right next to Eden Canyon, and so the Pacific Palisades fire had broken out about 3 p.m. So I was already on edge. As you know, we had very, very strong winds, and I heard 2 helicopters above my house about 6:30, and I immediately knew, shit, something very wrong is happening. There's no way they're flying in these conditions. I opened the curtains, and the fire was ripping along the hillside right above my house. I'd probably never seen anything more frightening, and I know there are a lot of people in the audience who have been through things similar to what Paris and I have been through. So we were out of there in 20 minutes. I thought the house was gone, somewhat miraculously, I went back up at dawn the next morning and it was still there, although the front yard was burnt to the front wall, but my neighbor's yard was on fire, so I managed to get that all out. So we were spared our house, but our community, as you know, is gone, as is the community of Pacific Palisades. And that's a very traumatic thing for anybody to go through. And we'll talk about the response, but that was this kind of mode of like, hey, what are you going to do now? How are you going to react to this? And we'll talk about that.
And during that moment, though, was there any moment that stood out for either of you? Because the one thing we saw with LA is that during these moments that people were coming together and immediately sort of doing these special things to actually come to each other's aids. And I'm curious, during those immediate moments in which you guys were experiencing your personal exposure to what's happening, did anything stick out to you?
I mean, I think the simplest thing, which is the number of people calling and texting, just saying, are you okay? I mean, as we were driving down, and it was terrible gridlock as there was in the Palisades, all the lights were out, and we were basically not driving, but sort of sitting there. But the amount of people pounding out, texting, calling, do you want somewhere to stay? You know, have you got the dog? All the love coming through. And then the communication as people were sharing the very fragmented information, like what's happening, where's fire, like where is the situation? So just the community, and this is a theme that we'll talk about more, the only silver lining, I think, that is coming out of this is people realizing how much they value what they have, which are their friends, their neighborhoods, their communities, and how much they want to have them back.
Yeah. And so, Paris, one of the things that you really leverage as a superpower is the art of storytelling and your personal experience to drive impact, whether it's with what you're doing in the ADHD community or beyond. And so talk about the way you immediately responded, leveraging the superpowers you have to create material impact to those that were affected.
Well, I knew that we needed to do something right away because people needed immediate help. So the first thing, within an hour of finding out that my house was gone, I called Rebecca. She is my head of impact at 1111 Media, and that's my nonprofit. And I said, what can we do to help? I want to go donate time. I want to donate. I want to go there and volunteer. And then the next morning, we went over to Baby and started packing essentials for families. And then we went over to Pasadena Humane. And there were so many cats and dogs there that had lost their homes, but they didn't have collars on them, so people didn't even know how to find their owners. So I said, I'll go around and I'll take videos and, pets of the ones that you can't find the owners for. And we ended up reuniting so many animals that way. And then there was this little dog named Zuzu who my husband and I just fell in love with. And they said that she had lost her home in the fire and that their family needed to surrender her there. And we took her home, and she was with us for a few weeks. And then the family saw, I think on my TikTok and things, Zuzu and I hanging out, and they wanted her back, which was hard because we'd fallen so in love with her. But just the fact that Zuzu got to be reunited with her family was so amazing. And just speaking with the Humane Society, they said, thank you so much for all the awareness that you've, raised for us. Because of you, we've gotten so many donations, and now there's just so many people volunteering to foster as well because they saw that you did it. And of course, most importantly, we started the Wild Relief Fund and raised $1.2 million within a week.
Yeah.
And then also housing over 40 families right now with children who'd lost their homes. We've been housing them at Hilton hotels. And just continuing to work and working with the Altadena girls as well. And I'll tell you more about that in a little bit. Sorry, there's so many things I'm doing, so it's a lot.
No, it's amazing because the ability for you to not only use dollars and donations to help, but sometimes just being there for others, the way in which we can help others beyond just capital could have significant impact on people's lives, the emotion, the stress they're actually dealing with and during times of need. And so what you've been able to do during a moment where you were already dealing with your own personal struggle is something that not a lot of people actually do, and it makes the world a better place in terms of being able to have that sense of humanity and help for others. And Tim, I'd like to hear a bit about, you have a little platform called GoFundMe that started becoming very, very important with regards to how money can get into the hands of individuals and families that need it at a very critical time. Like, talk to us a little bit about what you did personally, in addition to how the GoFundMe platform was able to help.
Sure. I'll hit the personal one quick. Other than just dealing with stuff personally, I'm a search and rescue volunteer for Sierra Madre Search and Rescue. So we did get called to look for missing people, which was a very difficult assignment, shall I say. And we did find some. So we did that. And that environment and the situation was the most difficult I've ever done in many operations. On the GoFundMe side, our company exists to help people help each other. And we do that most of the time in the normal cycle of life, which is wonderful things happening and difficult things happening on an individual basis. But we also help in crises. And I've been running the company for 5 years. This was almost my 100th crisis. But obviously, the first one that I was in as well. Yeah. So we have a lot of experience, and every crisis follows a similar pattern, but is also distinctive and has its own elements. But within a few hours, fundraisers were being set up, generally by relatives or friends of someone who'd suffered a loss. Typically, the person who has suffered a loss is just going through too much stress and trauma to set up their own fundraiser. So this is when the first set of helpers come out, and we also did this. I did this with my team for one of our search and rescue colleagues who went out to help with evacuations and came back to find his house gone, Colin Davis. So that was happening, and our team mobilizes to make sure those fundraisers are legitimate, to provide support to them, to start the processes of verification, to build the hub that we create for every crisis so that people who want to help from around the world who may not know someone can find fundraisers that they want to support. And we started to see the help flood in. And now we're at the point, within a week or two, we had over 10,000 fundraisers for families and small businesses and churches and schools in both of the communities affected. In parallel to that, we have a strategic partner called GoFundMe.org, which is a charity. It's a 501c3. They set up the Wildfire Relief Fund, which we do in the case of every crisis, and that very quickly gained a lot of support. And I'll let you talk about what you did, but Paris, again, was incredibly generous. What that organization has been doing is granting out $1,000 grants to families in need, and that $1,000 helps people with the basics of, maybe paying for that hotel for a couple of weeks before insurance comes in, helping put money towards the deposit, helping with groceries. So taking a little bit of that strain off, and GoFundMe.org has already issued nearly 6,500 of those grants. So I know there are people in the audience, and Tech Community Cares, which you've been involved in, has done an amazing job and also made us a grant. So I want to thank you to anybody who contributed to that or to an individual fundraiser. And you'll talk a little bit more about your incredible generosity. So it's a very multifaceted response, something that we're experienced in. But I have to say, the level of scale here is at the upper limit of what we've done before. It's bigger than any other natural disaster we've worked on. It's comparable to some of the major conflicts we've worked on, particularly Ukraine and Gaza would be the main two.
And in terms of the amount of money that's gone through GoFundMe to individuals and families, it's like not insignificant. It's on the order of...
It's over $250 million already. I want to note that there's another side to our business which maybe doesn't get as much attention, which is we provide fundraising software to many of the major nonprofits, including many of the organizations that were responding. Pasadena Humane is a customer. There was actually so much demand that their website went down, but luckily our donation form stayed up. World Central Kitchen, Direct Relief, which supplies equipment to first responders, Team Rubicon, which helps with repair, and the list goes on. So we're really honored to support them, and I had a fantastic chicken quesadilla from World Central Kitchen, so I was proud to receive that.
Now, I want to shift a little bit to the long-term rebuilding effort that is going to have to happen. It's, easy to, the weeks of the fires, maybe 1 week after, you saw what happened, and then out of sight, out of mind, just go back to your normal day, and it's almost like nothing happened. But as we've heard from a number of people today, the amount of individuals that have lost their homes or that are displaced is extremely significant, and it's going to take years before we get back. But we will get back, and the rebuilding effort is what needs to happen for us to all get back. I'd love to hear from both of you, what are you each doing, and what do you feel like it takes to actually expedite this process and get LA back and better over this next period?
I think it's definitely about supporting small businesses as well as people donating to causes that are going to make a difference. I'm speaking with people regarding also housing for either building 3D houses or RVs until their homes are built again. But like you said, this is not something that's going to take weeks. It's going to take years and years. And, the media, only focuses on things for a little bit of time and then they move on to the next one. But these people who have lost their lives have lost everything. And that's why it's so important. And I'm so grateful for you guys today for having us here to talk about this, because it is so important, because so many of these families are living in shelters right now with their children, and all of their belongings are gone. And this is going to take so much time to rebuild their lives. And I've been talking with Altadena girls, because it's about housing, but it's also about community. And that's why I'm going to be working with them to build a living lounge inside what they're doing, which will be a place for girls to come and to spend time together, talk about fashion or beauty, or we'll have different activities there. So I think that's important, just to have people, give people hope as well, and know that they're not forgotten and that they're being thought about and that people are trying to make a difference. And I think this has been such a terrifying and scary time, but I think the silver lining is just seeing communities come together in ways I've never seen before, and just so many people really looking out for each other and supporting each other and lifting each other up. And I think that's, out of all the bad things that have happened, that is a really beautiful thing just to see, and just to see how strong the city is and how much resilience, and we will come back. And it's just going to take so much time and support and things like this where people can really shine a light on and make a difference. And I'm so grateful to you and for everything you guys do as well, so thank you so much. And I think it's incredible how you really can get the word out to the entire world and have these families who never would have had that opportunity, no one would have even maybe known what have happened, and really sharing their stories and highlighting them in such an important way. And that's just incredible. So thank you. And I'm so glad to partner with you. And I can't wait for all the other things we're going to be doing together.
100%. I mean, look, here's the reality. The media cycle of a crisis is short. An international crisis is maybe 48 hours. A big national crisis is maybe a week. Hurricane Helene, a week, maybe 8-9 days. That's it. This cycle actually sat in the media cycle longer than most, probably 2.5 weeks, but then it moves on. Yep. There's a lot of other things happening in the world. So to echo the point you both made, storytelling plus attention. So what we are doing is we are a platform for people to tell their personal story and to keep people updated. And then a big part of our job, the big reason I do things like this, is to keep attention on that at a macro scale and then drive those individual stories. And that's where we need help. And that's why it's so wonderful to partner with you, because you do have an ability to generate a lot of attention. And that is crucial. Keeping attention on the stories of what people are going through. And I have to tell you, the people I know going through this, their trauma cycle is in a different place now. There's the awful moment itself, there's shock, and there's what happens after shock. and a lot of people in the aftershock phase where life looks pretty damn dark for a long time, and people are really struggling with that, and they need hope, and they need to know that people are still paying attention to them. So our job is to keep them telling their story, keep those updates going, and keep driving attention so that it can continue to get the support. And that is then coupled with a lot of the other things, some of which Rick was talking about. There are government efforts, there are major other organizations that are here to help. Those all need to come together in a multifaceted effort to help people get their lives and communities back.
Now I want to shift to one of the last topics here. As you both are coming together in a material way with something that you're announcing today in terms of a new initiative, and I love, Paris, for you to tell the group what you actually get launched today in conjunction with GoFundMe.
Well, today we are announcing a grant initiative, and I had this idea where we give out grants to amazing women, small-owned businesses who were affected by the fires. And we had a $150,000 donation, and thank you so much to GoFundMe.org for matching that donation. So now we're going to pick 11 small-owned businesses by women, and they'll each get a $25,000 grant. And I'm so proud of that, and thank you. And this is just the beginning, because I know that we could do so much more.
Amazing. And I want you, Tim, to briefly just also explain the difference between how people can contribute to the Wildfire Relief Fund versus go on GoFundMe.com and give to individual campaigns, because it's a fundamentally different way in which you can actually leverage your dollars in a tax-deductible manner and actually get it into the hands of exactly the initiatives that Paris is doing and others that no other platform is like that.
Yeah.
So, please give the commercial.
Sure. So when you give to a personal fundraiser, it's not tax deductible. Now, we would love to change the tax code, but we can't do that soon. So when you give to a family, they're receiving all that money less the transaction fee, but you're not getting a tax deduction. It also, if you don't directly know someone, it can be hard to pick. So that's one way of giving. Particularly if you know someone, you can give, just know it's not tax deductible. The second way of giving is to GoFundMe.org, the 501c3, which, because this is a declared disaster, we can create what's called a charitable class. So you can give, let's say, $10,000. GoFundMe.org takes that money and it goes into a pool, and then they issue grants to families in need, usually using the fact that they have a GoFundMe, but not only. We work with people like Change Reaction who can reach people who can't even create a GoFundMe, who may be unbanked or maybe just aren't savvy enough digitally to create a GoFundMe. So you give your $10,000, it goes into that pool, and that pool is then used to grant out to families. And that can also be local nonprofits. So it's a very, very efficient way of dispersing the funds, and you can give in essentially any way. You can give it a credit card, you can give through your DAF, you can give crypto, you can give stock, you can send us a check, you can give us a call and say, I want to give this money, I'm not quite sure how, and we will figure it out. Yeah. So pretty much any way that you have wealth, you can transfer it to GoFundMe.org Wildfire Relief Fund, and then we can move that to the people who need it most in the community.
Yeah, it's very powerful. And with the LA Tech Community Fund and what Dustin was able to spearhead with many people in this room, we're partnered with GoFundMe as one of those main beneficiaries of all the donations that you have done so far and you've done today. And if you so want to do more today, it goes directly into the hands of people that need it most. And I just ask that if you really want to continue supporting the LA rebuild, families and individuals that really need your support, the time is now, and it's going to be tomorrow, and it's going to be continual. And we're just excited to have leaders like you stepping up and being able to set a way and a pathway, and also just a method by which people who want to support can do so. Because one of the things that I have heard is people don't know how to support, they don't know where to donate, they don't know how to donate. And we've made it easy for you here. And so
can I just add, it's also quick. So one of the things I think people worry about is where's the money going, and is it going to get there pretty quickly? So to give you an idea, the Wildfire Relief Fund is about 7.2 million. About 80% of that has already been moved out, right? Which is really, really quick. So it is getting in, and I've met many of these families. $1,000 makes a tremendous difference to a family struggling in this situation right now.
And so whatever you donate, if I'm not mistaken, Carter at M13, your husband, has offered to match anything that's donated. And so...
Thank you, hubby. I love you.
That's pretty generous, I gotta say.
That
Unlimited match.
Yes,
Wow.
Limited. So thank you so much for helping close us out at this Upfront Summit. Thank you everyone here who stayed around to hear this important message, and really we're excited for the future of LA and how we're going to rebuild together and stronger. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.